The alternate version of Harrison Wells in Flash Season 2.
The what?
The Earth 2 version of Harrison Wells in Flash Season 2. Flash Season 3 starts at yet another timeline. Does that mean we're going to meet yet another Harrison Wells, or is there another trick up his sleeve?
There's another trick. There's probably another trick. I feel like even if there's another Harrison Wells, there's also another trick up the sleeve, because that's kind of what I do. As the Reverse Flash, I like to have tricks up my sleeve.
Right, so does that
I
mean
like that whole thing. That whole look is good. That's the other thing. I'm like, I wish I could do that. That's strong. I'm talking about the interviewer's facial hair combined with his haircut. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to steal that look on like.
So the new Harrison Wells will have a very full grizzly beard.
Yeah, well, I can't pull it off as well as you, but that's Season 7 Harrison Wells. Remember I said that, because maybe that'll happen.
So your character's been just fascinating, because you've gone from being a good guy to a villain, and an anti-hero, and somewhere in between that's a good guy but an asshole. So how challenging has that been, just kind of riding that roller coaster and finding that?
I mean, it's the direct answer is it's not challenging at all. It's a boon. It's spectacular. You know, it's oftentimes one of the things that happens when you're doing a long-running show is the repetition. You have to find ways around the repetition, and I consider myself spectacularly fortunate in this current edition that it seems like it's constant reinvention. That never happens. Usually if you're fortunate enough to get on a show that has some legs, it means you're playing that character, and you're going to play that character season after season after season. Whereas on this show, I'm the Reverse Flash, I'm fake Harrison Wells, I'm real Harrison Wells, I'm Harrison Wells from different planets. And that's a rarity on a television show, and I consider it to be just a complete privilege. I'm really grateful for it, and my predisposition to playing assholes, as you put it, is I love that. No, but I honestly, I'm not being facetious. I love it. And in Earth 1, in Season 1, he looked like maybe one of the most protective and best mentors, a really good guy, whereas he was hiding the fact that he was the worst guy. And then in Season 2, he kind of seemed like he had no social graces. He was a dick, but he was actually, when push came to shove, a good guy. So. Those combinations are, for any actor will tell you, not playing the obvious and not playing on the nose are enjoyable. And the fact that I get to do it on a long-running show is great. I'm happy about it.
Do you miss turning laps in the chair around Star Labs?
I never. We had a burning the chair ceremony when we graduated to a different Wells. Here's what the chair was good for: comedy, off-camera comedy. Because they'd be talking to you, and I'd be in the chair, and I'd be like, yes. And I would do the slowest turn you could do. And it used to drive directors on a schedule crazy. There's also indentations all throughout the cortex, which on our show is an area where we gather to do a lot of the science, and I would purposely, on the rehearsals, all right, Barry, I'll see you later. And I would run into the wall. And so there's, it's like when this show is ultimately put out to pasture, there'll be like a museum of all the dents that, that wheelchair put into the, it's nice. People worked really hard on that thing, and then here's the actor coming in and just bashing it down with his, ha, I'm so funny. So, yeah, that's obnoxious. So, yeah, very, very fun.
Obviously, the end of the season, there was a bit of a reset with Barry back on time. Do you think the show is going to feel radically different this year, or is it going to be a sort of fringe style, turning everyone on its head?
I would hope that it's, I don't know about the adjective, I don't know about radically, because we're going to do the Flash, and Grant's going to be the Flash. Like, I think that's the contract we make with the general audience necessarily, and as long as Grant Gustin plays the Flash, then we got room to move. The other side of that is that on this show, I think, especially if and I know most of you know the show quite well, like if you know the show well, it's not a show that sits on its laurels necessarily. It's not a show that sits back, and many a long-running television show feels like, well, this is what works, this is our formula, this is what we're going to do. And we can ascertain that we definitely have a formula. At the same time, we're not afraid to break eggs and kind of move forward and do things. A perfect example of that is like, within seconds of airing, we had Captain Cold on the thing, which is normally like, you better hang on, that's a big villain to bring in. Then we had Grodd, and it wasn't like, well, that's going to be it's like a normal, like in a family show. It's like, well, in episode 15, let's bring the parents in, and then we'll have the parents thing, and we'll get to know that, like this thing was like, let's bring Grodd in, and let's bring Captain Cold in. And at one point I said to Berlanti, Greg, it was like, listen, we had all worried about story, because we kept moving in, and he was like, verbatim, there's always more story. And that's one of the great things about doing a show that has decades of mythology behind it. It's like, right now we can, let's do Flashpoint. Let's go ahead and do that. That's a huge comic book trope. Let's get into that, and then let's go on to the next thing. So that's one of the, I think, if this show has any strengths, I would argue that would be one of them. That we're not afraid to go forth, and they won't all be successful sallies, but many of them will. And I think for television to try that and to have that effort, I think there's something commendable there.